Welcome to this edition of Backstage Pass with Leah Chang. I'm your host, Leah Chang. Today, I am sitting down with my brother from another mother, Jason Ma. It's actually been a while since we've had a chance to catch up on camera. And I'd like to know what's going on in the world of award-winning musical theater writer, composer, and lyricist Jason Ma.
Wow, that is such an open question. Well, I would say that right now, what is foremost on my mind is prospect musicals.
That you are the board president of
I have
now.
recently assumed the presidency of the board. We are currently celebrating our 25th year, our 25th anniversary, and the rebrand seemed the right thing to do because our mission is more focused now than it probably was 25 years ago. And it's about musicals, and it's about new musicals. And it's about inviting new writers into a more sort of public space to show their work, to expose our audiences to more voices, more people.
Right.
And, you know, part of doing that is also something like the Musical Theater Lab that's coming up. That's the thing about this Musical Theater Lab. It is literally all these writing teams show up for a meeting, and Cara and Dev basically give them a prompt. So this year's, the evening is called Jump Cut, I believe. And so each of these teams is responsible for writing a 10-minute musical.
Although Antonio says he's doing it by himself.
Yes, April is also a solo writer.
Okay.
So I should say 9 writing teams or individual writers are each writing a 10-minute musical.
Right.
And
so how did you
jump cut is actually a big leap in time. So every single one of these pieces has to have a leap in time of some sort.
Okay.
And each of them drew out of a hat a different.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
So somebody might have gotten a second, and somebody might have gotten an hour. Somebody might have gotten 10 years, 100 years. I don't know exactly what those were, but it's going to be very interesting because that gives them a very specific sort of period of time, but also a very endless possibilities for how you incorporate that into a little story that can be told in 10 minutes.
Okay. So how did you discover April?
April and I were in the 2024 cohort of musical theater writers at the Johnny Mercer Colony at Goodspeed Musicals. And that was an amazing group of people who, there were so many different voices in the room. And April, in that group, really stood out. I mean, she is a wonderful writer. Her lyrics are so smart and so dense. And the music is just like catchy as all get out. Also, she is a wonderful singer and a transformative actor.
Oh.
She can actually, I've seen pieces of video of her in a one-woman play that she wrote, where she's just transformative. She's a character actor. And when you meet her, it'll be like, oh, this is such a nice, like, sort of professional mom vibe that she gives off. But she can become so many different people.
Okay.
And it's really exciting as a performer.
So that means that at Goodspeed, when she presented her work, she performed it, and that's why you know this?
I know that was how I initially knew it.
Okay.
Yes.
But then you watched.
Then I started stalking her online.
You're like,
I started watching videos. So yes, April came and presented her work, Queens of Solomon, which is basically this R&B, rap, blues, black music genre piece about all the many, many wives of King Solomon.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
Really cool.
Interesting.
Yes. So each of these characters has their own sort of sound, own genre.
Okay.
April did most of the performing herself and was able to just like fill it out. She was writing and sharing work, as we all were. But hers was very exciting. One, because she was by herself. You know, there were like teams of like 5 or 6 people who could share the burden of presenting their work.
Right.
But April would just like show up by herself, put on her tracks, and start sharing. And it was really exciting. She also has a concept video of Queens of Solomon, which I encourage you to watch on YouTube.
Okay.
It's really exciting. Yeah, I was so taken with her. And one of the interesting things about April, by the way, it's April de Okpwae. Remember that name. She's amazing. She comes from a world that is not about like piano vocal scores, you know, and you know, standard musical theater. April's genre, April's musical world is like basically studio music, studio generated music, which means some live, but also a lot of software instruments, a lot of mixing. You know, there are not a lot of writers who work in this particular way in musical theater.
So she's a sound engineer too? Or does she have someone that she collaborates with?
I think she probably does do a lot of her own work because she was by herself at Goodspeed putting together her stuff. So, and you know, we all have to have some sort of skill now in that. Even me, old boomer me, even I know how to work GarageBand. So, but there are, of course, younger writers who are really adept at this. It's literally where they live, and it's how they create. And it's been important, Kara's been discussing this, that we include people who are not just like pianists or music majors. These are storytellers who write music that tells stories, like April does. And so it's really lovely to have her included in this cohort. So anyway, the reason why Prospect means so much to me is earlier on in my writing career, Kara saw I think like a reading / run through of Gold Mountain, and I clocked it, you know, like, oh, that's an interesting thing. And then years later, basically offered us the opportunity to basically mount it in this sort of the largest form it had ever been, which is one of these Prospect Ignite concerts
at the Time Center.
So we had, you know, full cast starring Ali Ewalt and Johnny Lee Jr. And a little orchestra, mini, you know, ensemble of instrumentalists, and we presented
and the Nap Chorus
the male part of the Nap Chorus, of course, and a full cast, and it was I don't know. I would say it was the first step in the journey of. It basically was, you know, we have been going up this hill. If we were a roller coaster, if Gold Mountain was a roller coaster, and Prospect basically got us to this point, where all of a sudden the momentum took care of the rest of the journey to full production.
Do you know what that looked like?
What?
That looked like the cart that goes into the mountain.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Prospect was that little chain that got the roller coaster cars to the point where gravity would take care of the rest of the journey. The thing about Prospect is it's a very small organization. And so we don't have, even though our mission is
big,
it's big,
global,
it's new works, we basically prospect for the new musicals. So Kara just runs around seeing things, attending like NAMT. You get into NAMT. If you are in the BMI ASCAP workshop, the O'Neill.
So
we are always.
So you're cultivating.
Yeah, the ear is to the ground. We hear about what's up. Invite us to readings. Invite us to presentations. Somebody will come. Somebody will try to come. There are not a lot of us, but that's how we gather people.
Okay.
Like
Like
April,
she gathered you.
Like she
And
gathered
then
me.
you've gathered
I
April.
gathered April. We do this. And I'm always telling her, I just saw the most amazing thing, or this writer is blowing me away. And it's all, what's the greatest thing about being at Baruch is that, Cara has this list of projects and writers that are on her radar that she believes in.
Okay.
And we have many more opportunities now to get those things off the checklist and in front of people. So that's a very exciting thing. So that's how, basically write, present, invite people, apply to other things that are, that will lift up your profile as a writer.
Okay.
I would say, there's no one way to get on our radar. There are many, many different ways.
Okay. I want to know what it feels like for you right now in this time to be an Asian American theater maker.
Well,
it's not the same.
It isn't the same. It is not the same. It feels like very precarious right now. And I think honestly, it's not just for Asian American theater makers.
All of
us.
Artists.
Right now.
Everybody is at risk.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know.
They've taken the T out of national park signs.
I know.
Ugh.
I know. So one of the reasons why the last time we were talking, it felt like doors
Hopeful.
were opening, light was shining, opportunity.
We were in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was having the best lamb barbecue of my life.
Yes, because you were there to see work that was being created by Asian American theater makers. The theater has always been a welcoming place, but maybe not the most inclusive place. And but once people started looking at different sources of story, I feel like it did change the industry to think more about, oh yes, there are many different kinds of writers who can provide us with new stories,
right?
And many different kinds of artists who can help us interpret these stories. I mean, seeing Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba has literally changed my life, and it feels like, why haven't we done this before? It's perfect, right? So I think for us, our community, it seems like we've just gotten welcomed into the room. So it feels a little more precarious for us, right? Because we're not sure, does that mean we have to go back out that door? Does it mean we just need to be more quiet in the room? Does it mean it'll be okay because they've got us? The gatekeepers and the powers that be are going to continue to make space for us. Those questions will be answered in the next few years. We know that there is a backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's say it. These aren't really terrible words.
And painted over DEI in different federal.
I know.
It's crazy time.
Yeah.
But while it's crazy out in the world, it's going to be really exciting at Symphony Space on February 20th for Jump Cut Prospect Musicals.
Yes.
Musical Theater Lab.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Bye-bye.